except maybe all is perfect in the end, and in the beginning, and in the middle. So, this month, our communal experience internationally is to focus on this thing called diversity. Well, you and I will be thinking about this, pondering this, and trying to get on the inside of this for as long as we're on this plane. So it's a huge subject to take care of in a small space of time. Diversity. Now, we understand the word in many, many ways, diversity, especially those amongst us who are blessed to have these wonderful portfolios and are told we must keep your investments diverse. You must have diversity in your portfolio, etc. Well, that's for the few. But for most folk, diversity is something that's very much to the front of our awareness right now. We're hearing it all over the place, diversity, diversity, diversity. And in the secular world, as well as in the the spiritual world, although there is only one world and it's all spiritual, but that's the way we talk, isn't it, on three-dimensional planet Earth, secular, spiritual, whatever. So diversity it is. And that for us spiritually, for those who are truth students and are seeking to evolve into self-realization, we have to really understand what diversity is for you and what diversity is for me. And it's really getting that grasp of there is only one life. That life is all life, and that life is in everything. And so we're looking at, and we say it over and over again, we read it over and over again, it's the teaching over and over again that we hear, there is only one life. That life is perfect. That life is God life. That life is my life, all life now. Is that not what we hear again and again and again and again and again and yet again? But what does it mean to you and to me in our busyment of the embodiment in the marketplace out there, in our daily lives and living, and in the encountering of all the things that we encounter every day outside of church on Sunday? What does it mean? What does it mean, this one life? So we're to look at that very closely now, and maybe during this month we'll come away with a different understanding of what it is to live that one life and to be engaged in that one life and to understand that one life a bit more fully and a bit more deeply. Maybe, just maybe, that might happen. I'm setting the intention for myself for that to happen anyway, and I'm inviting you to do likewise. So there is that one life. And so we call that life, for the most part, in the realm of the spiritual field, it seems to be the most used term for it, spirit. Now, Ernest Holmes in the textbook describes that as a vital, infinite, cosmic force, essence, energy, power, that is everywhere present in all of its creation and in all life, and available to all of its creation and all life. And it's just the one essence, that's all. There's nothing else. Nothing else was made out of anything else. Everything that was made has been made out of the one life, the one essence, the one energy, and out of nothing else. So it's all this thing called life. It's all this thing called God by many. It's all this thing called spirit. It's you, it's me, it's the stars, it's everything. And again, I always get a kick out of understanding that we're all made out of stardust, and yet we shine brighter than any star, and all of the stars combined. Can you believe that when you look into a star? Of course, you don't often get a chance to look into a starlit sky these days. You have to go out into nature to do that. But when you do, you're just bowled over because you're not used to it. And yet, it pales by comparison to the power and the glory and the light that is in you and in me. If we could just tune into it, become one with that one life, and live as though we knew that this is what we are. Vital force, power, energy, essence, spirit. Vital. Vital. He puts the word vital in front of it all. So you and I can feel vital every day of our lives if we so desire. No matter what's going on, you can turn it around and change it up and become less sluggish and less lethargic and less lower of energy, and move into that state of vital energy, vital essence, vital power. That's what we're told. That's what is the truth since time began. This has been told to us all along the way. So as far as diversity in today's world is concerned, you and I, more than anyone else on this planet, because we are dedicated, committed truth students. We've decided, self-realize. We want to know ourselves as we have first been known. We want to be the best of ourselves, always. We want to be able to maneuver on this plane with grace and ease and peace and joy and comfort and ease and fullness and plenty, and in loving relationship with all as we creatively allow the expression of spirit, of life, to pour itself through us. Why? Because we are the outlet to the inlet of grace. We're full of it, grace. Loaded with it, grace. But many of us don't know how to open the outlet and let it out. And let me tell you, when you're pregnant with a good thing for too long, it ain't comfortable. Ask any woman who goes beyond her due date. It's not comfortable, to say the very least. It's frustrating and other things too. So the call is to understand that there's no limit upon your life, upon my life, except the limit I'm going to place on it through what? Through my human, egoic tendencies to see things as they are not, to understand things as they are not, to form opinions about things that are not. Plotinus said a long time ago that the way we receive knowledge is through three avenues. First one, he says, opinion. Second one, he says, intuition. And third one, illumination. Well, you all know what opinion is. And intuition, Ernest Holmes reminds us, is of spirit, the truth, essence of being. And illumination is what you move into and know it all. You become real know-it-alls when you're illuminated. And that is to know the truth that sets you free when you don't have to know anything anymore. You just are it. So there's nothing to know because you are it, the truth itself. And so that's how we get our information and our knowledge. But for us on three-dimensional planet Earth, we mostly get our knowledge, or we accept knowledge as that which has informed us from outward opinion. And again, opinion, he describes, does Plotinus, as an estimate of reality, an estimate of the truth. And so here we are running around, forming all making our decisions based on an estimate of something. Not sure it's an estimate, sure, maybe right enough. It's not enough. Let's stop doing that. And it is our terrible, terrible need to be stuck in our own opinions, regardless of where they come from within ourselves or from outside of ourselves, and rarely does anything come from within ourselves as a new thing. It's always imported opinion. But we seem to be, we will go to bat for our opinion. We will stubbornly support our opinion. We will argue for our opinion being the right opinion. And thus, we bump into each other, to say the very least, and knock each other off and kill each other off at the worst of it. And yet, intuition is ignored. That inner knowing, that inner awareness, that inner thing that will lead us always along the path of true essence of being, truth of being. And so, in order to understand diversity in any way that is a cause of our growth and a movement into more self-realization, we have to realize that the only way for this to happen is for you and I to knock it off when it comes to fighting for our opinions. How do we do that? We listen more and talk less. We're present more and not distracted less. We really pay attention. We really want to understand each other. We want to know exactly why somebody thinks the way they think and feels the way they feel, so that maybe, just maybe, we can change up our own opinions a little bit about everything. For every single person is an individualized expression of spirit, and every single person is of extreme and esteemed value in the universe. Every single person, regardless. No exceptions, none whatsoever. Every single person. And as I was saying this morning, never think for one moment, ever for a moment, ever develop the opinion that a multi-billionaire has better value, more value than a person who is earning $7.50 an hour. Never think that way for one moment, because it's not true. Every person on the planet has the same value, the same value, has the same amount of spirit, is made of the same essence, is of the same vital energy, power, and force. And some are more aware of it and some are not. And some circumstances assist us in being more aware of it, and some circumstances don't. So we have to come into the understanding of that if you and I are to understand anything about diversity. And what does diversity mean? It means unity in diversity. Every life in the one life valued equally. All aspects of divine life valued equally. All received as the divine life itself. All interacted with as the divine life itself. This is not for spiritual wusses, I can tell you that. It is not. I'm not surprised there are very few of us science of mind and spirit students. I'm not surprised. People don't want to measure up to this kind of responsibility, not really, for whatever reason. Nobody wants to put the responsibility, or very few, upon their own shoulders and say, I'm responsible for my own life. We want to hang on to something, someone to blame. Now, this may not be a conscious instinct within us, but that's the way it is. And if you look at yourself honestly and you examine yourself honestly, you'll find that this is so. It's not easy being green. It's just not. You know, and what is green? What color is your heart chakra? It's not easy. Look it up for those of you who don't know. It's not easy being green. And so, to understand and embrace diversity and celebrate diversity means I have to honor everything and everyone as though everything and everyone were myself. But to do that, I have to honor, love, and respect myself, because I cannot do that for anybody else if I haven't first done it here. I've got to do this. I have to do it here. And this you will hear over and over again until you're blue in the face, as my mother would say. I'll tell you this, child, until I'm blue in the face. And as I said, she's often been blue in the face. So that's the only one thing for you to hear. And don't think you're hearing the same thing every time. You're not. You're hearing everything at a different level, please God, every time you hear it. Every time you hear it, you're able to register it in yourself and understand it's meant for you and you alone. So diversity means I respect all of life, I honor all of life, I love all of life, I receive all of life, I include all of life, and diversity equals inclusion. And as you can see it, we're out there in the world striving to achieve this in secular ways, like equal pay for equal work. We're wanting women to have access to where only men could go before. We are wanting all kinds of equality, believe it or not, that we're supposed to be entitled to, and that is our right for everybody. Equality, justice for all. Equality, justice, and opportunity for a good life for everyone. That's what we're looking for. That's what we have committed to as free nations on this plane. And yet, look at how many of us are in bondage to whatever, whether it's to poverty or whatever it is. It ought not to be in today's world, in this land. It ought not to be. So, you and I are understanding that diversity is this beautiful, amazing thing, and it just means unity and oneness. It means that all of life is included in the one life. All of life is received equally in the one life. All of life is looked upon magnificently, all of life in the one life, and that's how it is. But we are like children very often. We still want to keep what is ours. That's my toy and you can't have it. And not only that, I want yours as well. You can't play with mine, but I sure as heck want yours. And whatever that is that grows up with us as we go through life and living needs to go. And you know, we've always heard the story of the two little fishes looking for the great big ocean, bumping into the old fish, and the old fish says, well, you know, guess what, kids? You're already in it. And they're shocked. They're shocked because they didn't realize they were already in what they were looking for. And they were looking through it all the time from themselves, as themselves. And we're just like that. We are just like that. We're wondering, when are we going to wake up and realize ourselves? When are we going to get it? When is it going to happen for me? And it's already happened. It's just we haven't woken up from our slumber of illusion yet to see it. To see it. We're making all of our decisions and forming our opinions based on illusionary things that are not so. All the world's a stage, and you and I are on it playing our parts. Now, the backdrop to the stage and the stage is always backdrop and stage. It never changes. And that equals consciousness. Consciousness. That equals the law of spirit and action. But the player, the actor on the stage is what changes. The parts change. And I can decide on that stage how I'm going to use my backdrop, how I'm going to use my stage. And I can use it in such a way as an actor that I'm loved and adored, or I can use it in such a way that everybody's scared of me and walks the other side of the road when they see me, depending on what the role I'm playing or choosing to play. All the world is truly a stage, and you and I are on it like it or not, in it like it or not. Backdrop is there, stage is there, and we never get off that stage. But we choose the part, and we choose how we're going to play it, and we can change that up anytime we want to change it up. And so we need to change that up when it comes to diversity. We have to stop it when it comes to them and they and it and over there and so on. There's only the one, and the one is I am, and the one is in everything. And so there is no they, them, we. There's only the one. And I have to wake up and understand that every time I meet a person, I'm meeting myself. I'm meeting the one in myself. And that everything and everyone is me, and I am everything and everyone. And now, I say that very quickly, but that's loaded. And I have to understand that, as you have to understand that. So we have to stop with the nonsense. We have to stop with they're better than they are better. They're better and they're more better. And of course, I'm the best of all. We have to stop all of that. We cannot be divided. We cannot be divided. Divided, united we stand and divided we fall, an old adage. Or the other old adage, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. We want to unify. We want to unify and win. Win for everybody. Win for life, all of life. How that's going to happen, I haven't a clue. But the knower within me knows, and I trust that. The knower within you knows, and you can trust that. How that's going to happen in your life, particularly for you. All are one, and one are all. All for one, and all for all. I mean, there's no separation in God. How could there be separation in God? God is the unity, the harmony, and the oneness of life itself. So if there is no separation in God and I am of God, there can be no separation in me. There can be no separation in you. Because God is, and God is all there is. Now remember, God is life. So life is, and life is all there is, and there's no separation in life. Life is one thing. Life is one thing. It's the fishes in the ocean, individualized expressions. You can no more divide spirit from spirit's creation than you can a drop from the ocean. You cannot. When the drops are all in the ocean, it's the ocean. In fact, it's all the drops that make up the ocean. And when you take the drop out of the ocean and you examine it, it has the same properties as the ocean. So do you have the same properties of your Creator. You are wonderfully made, the scriptures say. You are wonderfully made. You are the image and you are the likeness of the Creator of your being, and that means you are its essence. The image is the essence that you are, the essence of you that goes on and on and on and evolves and evolves and evolves into more and more and more and more of a greater expression of the one self that you are. So we have to stop with the them are better than the they and so on. And we have to understand that as divided as it all seems, it's an illusion. An opinion is formed on illusion, that we are separate from each other, that we're better than people who are not so well off or whatever it is that we are. And if the spiritualizing people cannot get it, how can we expect the world at large to get it? If we ourselves can separate ourselves from ourselves, how can we expect this world to unite and come together and create peace on earth and goodwill through all? It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. It's impossible to happen as long as you and I are thinking in the slightest way that we are separate from whatever or whomsoever. We're not. Everything and everyone is part and parcel of you and part and parcel of me. That's the truth. It's the only truth. It's a tough and hard truth for an egoic-centered mind to wrap itself around. So we have to stop staying at the level of the egoic human mind and move on deeper into the inner mind, the inner heart, and feel in that. We only have to feel in that. We only have to move in that and become one with the motion of that. And the rest takes care of itself. How? I am clueless. I don't have to know the how of it. I just have to believe in the power and the presence of the Spirit of life within me and within all aspects of its life, every person, place, and thing, and understand that somehow or another I am connected. I'm interconnected with all of life. That's how it is, all of life. And if you are open enough and present enough to it, it will teach you, it will show you, it will take you, it will lead you, it will lead you. And I shared a little quick story with the people this morning of me getting such a powerful, as I was thinking of this, driving up to LA and back, what this morning was all about. I drove through an alley to take a shortcut around by the Grove. So when I do it often, and I have seen this couple several times in the alley, broken down old truck up by the wall parked, and there they are, and they're skipping, as we say in England, or they're dumpster diving. And what they're doing is working very hard to pick out all the cardboard and all the boxes and break them down, put them into bundles, tie them up with twine, and shove them into the truck, so that they can sell them and have some money. And they're always very, very focused on what they're doing and do it. And so I drive past and I always bless people as I do. And then I stop and I back up. It's not easy to back up in this alley, but I back up and I can get so far. So then I open the door and the man catches my eye and I beckon him over and I just reach and find whatever money is there and I just give it to him, and he takes off his cap and he holds his cap and his money in his hands, and then he goes into prayer in a different language. He's praying. I know he's blessing. And I can feel the energy is so potent, it's so powerful, and he's so genuine, and he is a light. He is a light with this energy of blessing. And it's going on, and eventually I just put my hands over his and I say, thank you. And then he manages to say, through tears, thank you. He manages to get thank you out. And then I say, I have to go now. And he stands there until I close the car, until I drive away. And then I see him in the mirror walking back over. And let me tell you, there hasn't been anybody on this planet of all the holy people that I have met that have blessed me in such a way as that man blessed me. That was the most awesome and powerful blessing I've ever received. And if anything represented godliness, it was that man. It was that man. And I got it so straight away. And I got it, how dare we judge? How dare we judge by appearances? How dare we do that? And so life is wonderful. And if you're open to learning, you'll get the people, the masters along the way will appear. When you're ready, the teacher will show up and the teacher will appear. So, but you see, I wouldn't have had the benefit of that if I wasn't paying attention. If I wasn't paying attention, if I didn't take in what was around me. And when I find that that happens, it is just glorious. It is so glorious. And you know, I feel that I received more than anything than that man did, So it's just up to you. It's up to me, and mostly up to you and up to me. It's not necessarily up to the spiritual leaders. They're caught up in all kinds of things, and they're getting on with all kinds of things, and they don't get to be out as much amongst the people as we do, but we do. Because we said, I want to be on the front line. I want to be on the vanguard of this. I want to be out there in the midst of it all, a very real and present help. That's what we signed up for. And then we forget it, because why? We're caught up in our own troubles and trials and tribulations. We're caught up in our own stuff that we have to take care of and handle and manage. So I would say to us all, the sooner we handle our stuff, the easier it'll be for us to shine. But however, great credit and blessing is due to us when, despite all the stuff we're dealing with, we can still shine through anyway, because we know that in spite of all of our, vicissitudes that we may be experiencing, we can either sit in our weakness or we can stand in our strength. It's up to us. We can do whatever we want to do, and it's all beginning in a thought in our heads, which will create a feeling in our bodies, which will give us whatever it is that in a form of a lift that we need in order to do what we're here to do, is to serve, and then to serve again. There's no other reason why you are here or I am here except to serve. S-E-R-V-E, serve. Doesn't have anything to do with servitude. It has to do with grace, amazing grace being allowed to expel itself through you and through me and make the difference on this plane and unify this plane, so that the day will come when you and I will be going, hurrah, for all of the unity in diversity that we are experiencing. Diversity is a great good thing. It really, really is. How boring life would be if it was just one thing all of the time. We are the clay. Spirit is the potter. But Spirit in us is the potter. I take the clay of myself every day and I form it. I form it as a potter forms into whatever it's going to be. And nobody else has that responsibility except me, except you, and you're equal to it, and so am I, and so it is.